Alright, howdy y'all. Welcome to the House of Kog. My name is Jaime. And I'm going to be doing a little introductory reel of one of my cars that I have. It's a 1966 Chevrolet Impala Sport Coupe. It's got a 327. It's the old 3 on the tree. It's actually been in the family since brand new. So I'm the 3rd generation owner. Goes back to my father wanted a car. He got the car. He purchased it at Chuck Nash in San Marcos, Texas. Chuck Nash is still around actually. They're not in the same location. But they bought it brand new at Chuck Nash. He needed a car. He bought it. He used it for a little while, gave it to my grandfather, his father, and then for some time, quite a while actually, and then a few years later, several years later, he gave it to my father, and then my father, upon his passing, I ended up getting a hold of it. Let me show a little bit about it. And just, I thought even though today was a bit cloudy and overcast and it's raining just a little, I thought it was kind of figurative or symbolic of a lot of the car plans that myself, you, all of you have. You know, it doesn't go perfect. It's not a sunny day every day when you go work on the car. You don't just turn the car on and you're done. Sometimes you gotta really hustle at it, whether it's financially or physically. I myself have been a little bit physically beat up past some time, but I'm still working on it. So let me give you a little video tour of it. There's not much to look at, I realize that, but again, project cars. Alright. And so, like I said, it's a 66 Chevrolet Impala. It's got a 327. And it's a bit... It's one of those 50-yard fake-outs. I admit that. No shame in my game, as my friend Eric would say. No shame in my game. Actually, my earliest car memory had to do with this. So the earliest car memory that I have in general was actually with this car here. Well, 2 cars in a sense, but this car here. I was playing on the fender line right here, and I had a little Hot Wheels car, and that was about, I guess 4 or 5, because my head was about right here, and I remember having to kind of like reach up above it. But I had a little Hot Wheels car right here. And I may have had this one. I don't know. It is my oldest one that I've got. It's from 1980. So it may have been. But I remember running the car across here. And then back here. And then back and forth just on the fender right here. And that was my earliest childhood memory. But what's some of y'all's, I'm a Texan, so what's some of y'all's earliest childhood memories that y'all have? Today we'll be working on installing a lower alternator bracket, which had been MIA for quite some time, and that way you can put the alternator back on. I had to take it off because I was going to try and install a upper bracket for the alternator on aluminum with turnbuckle styles, but I didn't realize when I was doing it it's not going to work with the current manifolds. So you live and you learn, in a sense. So here's the lower alternator bracket that had been missing, and there's a 327. It's pretty dusty right now because it's not been driving, but essentially it goes here, mounts here, attaches here to the manifold, and then the alternator goes in between. This is a non-power steering, non-AC car, so you only have to deal with one belt. So I was able to get the lower alternator bracket on. and then get the fan belt on and repair the wire that's going into it. So 2 wires actually. They finally broke from the connector here, and those went out with too much problem. But also I need to be working on some other electrical things. These are the original horns. The low one actually wanted to die, and it actually did die. And then the high tone said, I'm next, and that was it. So I ended up getting these hella sharp tone horns, and I got these for I think $18 from Jegs. So since I was talking about wiring, I wanted to show how I put wires together and add terminal connections to them. Jason says I'm really methodical with how I do things, and I thought I'd show you my method. So we're going to grab our wire strippers here, select the appropriate gauge. We're on 16 here. I'm going to squeeze and spin. Just make sure you squeeze and spin, strip, good. And I've already cut ahead of time some heat shrink tube. So what I'll do is I'll fold the heat shrink tube up, then cut it, boom, slide it in over. You'll take the half that you cut, put it on here. Then you're gonna get your terminal here. Alright, or your connector, really. Then you're going to choose the appropriate gauge. That would be this one right here. You're going to squeeze at the very top. Boom. Okay, and then I'm going to squeeze here at the very bottom right here. See that? Okay. Okay. And then you're going to slide the heat shrink right over, and then you're going to grab your heat gun or maybe soldering iron or even your hair dryer, and then you're going to shrink it. And I've already done one here, and you'll see how that's done. And now to talk about what people love talking about with the cars, the engine. So it's a 327, as I mentioned. I've done a few things to it. Visually, you could tell this radiator fill plate. We have this Champion radiator here, Etterbach aluminum intake manifold, aluminum heads, Y-end aluminum water pump. That's a high volume water pump. Those are Promax heads. And let me see what else. And that is a jet tuned 750 Quadrajet, courtesy of our buddy Jason, which you've seen. And the valve covers, those are actually my design. So I'm over here putting together some replacement control arms that are tubular, as you can see here for the Impala. They came with some ball joints already on them. However, Jaime really wanted to use some different ones that he felt were of better quality than these ones that factory, or rather stock, came on these aftermarket A-arms. So I'm just putting those together. He had to go get another steering arm puller because, or a steering wheel puller, because the one that we were able to get at the store was not slotted inward on that H bracket, or the H piece that's the actual puller, and therefore was causing issues when you're trying to put the 2 bolts into the steering wheel to pull it out. It was causing one to go in kind of at an angle and wanting to cross thread. So he went to O'Reilly's instead of Advanced to pick up a different steering wheel puller. So we'll see if that one will work. So I had to go to O'Reilly's to get a new different steering wheel puller, and because this bracket here interfered with the attack angle of it entering here. It was too wide, so it was coming in this way, and that would have been bad news if I would have tried to jam it in, but I wasn't trying to do that. So we don't just send it here. You just send it. Let's see. I think it's off. Let's see. There we go. And this is the churn signal cancel cam. I actually happen to have one. I bought a new one. Oh, that's not bad. But that's okay. Oh, here it is. I got this one right here because I thought maybe it might have been damaged months ago because it didn't auto cancel, and I thought maybe if it didn't auto cancel, it was damaged. And turns out that it is damaged. Whether it has the auto cancel cam feature, I don't know, because it was an option within these cars. And I got this. I'm not sponsored by Luddies, but I did get these from Luddies. I like sharing information when you're trying to find parts, because sometimes you just be digging and digging and digging and digging. Like, where's this at? And I got these bearings too, because an issue was that there was up and down movement like this, and there was a up in and out movement like this. So my friend Sam, he suggested I get some replacement bearings because they're probably damaged. I ended up getting those bearings from Luddies as well. They were the only place I could find, and I was frustrated trying to find it. But I can see for sure there's at least one bearing, maybe two, missing. Let's see if I can pull this out. Let me see. No.
Can you pull that top ring out?
This one here?
Yeah.
Oh, that might help. Hey, look at that. What do you know, Jason? That's why you're captain now. Alright, so yeah, there's definitely... Jason, can you zoom in on this? I can see some bearing missing there, and it's probably at least one. What do you think? Two? Maybe one?
I would say two.
And so I have the new bearings here as well. I'm replacing that. So there, with the Impala, there's upper and lower bearing. Upper bearing right here and lower bearing down in there.
I have one, and I cannot overstate the usefulness of having a... No, I'm just kidding. Of having a machine or computer in the garage for the purpose of having your technical guides available. Now, this is an old Motion J series tablet, which it's rugged. You can disconnect, take it with you, whatnot. And it's fairly rugged, but anyways, so that's what we're using out here on the toolbox. So like I said, I think that having a computer in your garage for the purpose of diagnosing and troubleshooting, having your service guides available, is super handy. I am a firm believer in having factory documentation and factory service manuals like what we have here. I don't know what you guys take on that. Put the link or description or your thoughts in the comments below.
So as Jason said, he likes factory manuals and documentation, and here's why. This is basically a breakdown of what it is that what you need to do, not kind of need to do, but what you need to do.
So in 1966, if you took this Impala to the General Motors dealer for them to work on it, this is the exact documentation that they would have used.
So what you're saying, Jason, this is factory service that you would be getting.
Yes.
Hence the term factory service manual.
Yes.
Who would have thought? I didn't.
Wow.
So what we gotta do, and also when you're looking at these, it does say just Corvette, Chevelle, and Chevrolet. Chevrolet is in reference to the B-body cars. So you see the mass jacket, that's in reference to the bearing. Disconnect transmission linkage, I did that again. Remove the steering coupler, that's already taken care of, as you saw. And here's the exploded view. Here's the power glide right here,
Which is a 2-speed automatic.
Here's the old granny tranny, 3-speed, 350.
Tree on the tree.
Tree on the tree. And here's my branch right here. And let me see. And this is the 4-speed, as you can see here. I've always liked exploded views since I was a kid. I don't know why. It looks cool, I guess. But yeah, so what I gotta do now is we gotta do is take off the turn signal cam and then take off,
Which is that here.
which is that over here, right in here. And then there's a lower bracket right about in this area that's under the dash. It has 2 screws and it's a U bracket. And then from there, you also got to pull the wiring out just a little. Be careful when you're doing that. Here's that bracket right there I was talking about. And that's what keeps it up underneath. And then you should be able to slide it out. I think there's one other thing that I read here. Here it is. From inside a vehicle, remove the mast jacket toe panel trim plate by removing the attaching screws. Remove the 4 screws from the mast jacket lower brackets and upper bracket into the mast. Remove the jacket lower trim cover by removing the 2 attaching screws. So it sounds like there's 2 brackets. Looks like there's that bracket here. This is what's in the engine bay right here. And but we'll get down there and see what happens. Alright y'all, so to conclude the video, I wanted to talk a little bit about my ideas and philosophies and plans. I guess you could say my vision for what it is that I'm going to do with the Impala. So as you saw in the earlier segments, Jason was working on some tubular control arms. So there are tubular control arms for the fronts, upper and lower. Also, what I have installed are upgraded front sway bar, and I have an upgraded rear sway bar to go in the back. I have PST, Performance Suspension Technology, poly graphite bushings for the front end to go. I have a quicker ratio steering box as well. Other things that I want to be doing are to lighten up the car some more, because as it currently stands, it's in the 3,500 pound range, which is quite odd and surprising because you always hear these cars, these B bodies are like 4,000 pounds. But for mine, it's 3,500 and upper 35s. I mentioned that because I want to actually take a little more weight off. As you saw, I had aluminum throughout the engine, the heads, the manifold, radiator, stuff like that. So I wanted to take a little more weight off because I wanted to focus more on balance, as opposed to just raw horsepower and just cruise, slow cruiser. I wanted to make it more of a GT style car. And so I'm going to be focusing on balance and a little more lightweight. So if I can get it to around 3,500 flat, that would be great. Some of the things I also want to be doing is, lighter weights, not lighter weight, yeah, but lighter weight bucket seats for the front. And I'm also considering almost full fiberglass front end, fiberglass hood, fiberglass fenders, this section right here, and just to take more weight off the front, because I'd like to ultimately get the car corner balanced as well. Again, I want to focus on balance, and I think a lot of that is, well, my personality, because for me, I'm trying to find balance in the way I go about doing things in life. I've watched a lot of what is it, Option channel, I think Option video with the Drift King, Tsuchiya-san, and all the touge battles, really. And there was one thing I noticed that they kept talking about, is that there was, to be a really good driving car on the touge, it's about balance and not necessarily horsepower. So you got to find the right balance. He was all about balance. And to me, I thought that was it kind of resonated with me. I was like, well, with regards to my personality as well as what he's saying, balance. Because I think the car, this right here, would be a lot more enjoyable when it's set up to be responsive. Like I said, I want to make it more of a GT car. And when I say the bucket seats, I don't mean like race buckets. There's some nice buckets seats. They have some good lateral support and stuff like that. And so that's kind of where I'm leading. And other things that I like to do are the adjustable rear upper and lower control arm. Well, adjustable control arms for the rear. I have a multi-link rear. I have full upper and lower control arms. And other things I'm going to do, again, a lot more focus on suspension and responsiveness and balance. I'm going to lower the car just a little. I'm going to get, once the car is settled out with regards to the suspension and the weight savings that I would do, such as the seats and stuff like that, and the corner balancing, I may forego the corner balancing until I get the springs. I want to get dial in the spring rates for it and get custom spring rates for the car. Alright, so that concludes that for the intro video of my Impala, and I will let you all go, and I bid the adieu, good night, gute Nacht, bonne noche, bonsoir, if you're gonna sleep right now. Okay, alright, see y'all later.